selling your house to
WBEV AM Beaver Dam, a Good Karma Brand's hometown station.
Good afternoon, everybody, from the 171st Dodge County Fair. This is the Wisconsin Sports Preview Show on 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam. I am Wade Bates, along with the three amigos. Can we bill you guys that? Corey Sparks is in the house. Hello, Corey.
Hello, I've been called worse. I'll take three amigos.
Charlie Dern.
Hello, I'm the only Wisconsin sports fan out of the three amigos.
Wally Lukashenski.
I'd see Three Musketeers for a big fella kind of feels like a better play for me.
Three Musketeers for you here on 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam. This might be the first ever. This might be the first ever local broadcast that we have had on 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam. Justin Wilski also on Daily Dodge TV here today, guys. And we're at the 171st Dodge County Fair at the Newman Pools broadcast area here today. And through the first 5-6 hours of the fair, just what is your impression of the Dodge County Fair, guys?
It's no joke. They don't do this. So I'm come from Pittsburgh. For people that don't know me, they don't do fairs like this at all. So this is just walking around. I've already had one of those cheese or grilled cheese brats out there.
Yeah, Annabelle's. Yep.
Oh, this is going to get ugly this week.
On my record, I had 9 hamburgers one year from the Rotary booth.
See, I've been told they're fantastic.
I believe challenge.
And they're
Should we
cheap.
break that?
They're inexpensive, I should say.
I had the pulled pork sandwich from the Bayside concession stand.
How did that go for you?
Oh, it was delicious.
I've already had a hamburger, and I had the bacon cheese curds as well for Mike over at the Bayside.
Cheese curds.
Corey, have you eaten anything here today yet?
Jumbo brat, the size of my head. It was pretty good.
Where'd you get the jumbo brat?
Bayside.
Oh, from Bayside
Yep, Bayside was
Concessions?
good.
Mike is over there. And again, it is sports day today, guys. Explain what's going on over here today.
Yeah, if you want to visit, I see Jake Hayes, our production manager, and Kale Zomer, who's heading the marketing front here. If you want to visit them over that at our swag tent on the right side, right by the bags, you could do Wisconsin sports trivia until 6 o'clock. You got a chance to win 4 tickets to the Brewers game on September 20th. Answer 3 questions right, we'll pull the winner at 6 o'clock. And then they're giving out different types of swag to you. Spin a wheel, and you win every time.
Okay, we're not giving the. I had somebody tell me these questions were too hard.
Ooh.
So can we because you have to answer them on your. Can you tell me what the questions are or not?
Yeah,
Open note. I was going to say, open note quiz has kind of been the way we've been looking at this lately.
Okay.
Yeah. So what we had first, what was the Badgers' record last year?
Yep, and then we have Beaver Dam mascot, which I would hope everyone here
I could
gets.
get that one.
Yep, and then
so.
where did Sean Clifford go to college?
I could get 2 of the 3. I couldn't tell you what the Badgers
Out of 12?
last
Yeah,
year.
we don't spoil it, but
The Sean Clifford one, that's on me. That one's on me. I thought that would be a little easier for Badgers fans.
It
'cause
should
he is
be.
a Big Ten quarterback.
Yeah.
Right.
It is
big
all right.
hint there. Yeah.
This is the Wisconsin Sports Preview Show on 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam. We're going to talk a little Packer football, NFC North football here because I know Corey's got his Rex Grossman jersey on here today. Charlie Dern, he's got sporting the Brewers, and Wally Lukashenski somehow he's wearing. You have multiple L.A. Raiders, Oakland Raiders, Vegas Raiders. I don't know.
Raiders.
We're moving again.
Yes.
Man, back to the 90s. Send them back.
Yeah. Well, I never know how old Tim Brown.
Tim Brown. See, I have one. Yeah,
I know. He's right there. That's why I said.
This is unfortunately not Tim
Was
Brown.
that Rocket Ismail?
No, I figured. So Corey out here, we choreographed last night. He's wearing the Rex Grossman Bears jersey. So I had to wear one of my disaster jerseys. For those at home that can't see it, it is an 84 Antonio Brown jersey. I have worn this
Antonio
more
Those should not
than
exist.
Antonio Brown ever wore the Las Vegas Raiders jersey at any point.
What's the most random? Like I have a bunch of jerseys of random Brewers. The shirt that are fake jerseys.
Yeah.
What's the most random jersey you guys own? Do you own any that are random? I mean, I own like Antonio Freeman, Terrell Buckley. I own a Bobby Tunyon.
I have a Troy Polamalu jersey from when I was a kid.
Wow.
Steelers safety.
Yeah.
Corey Sparks, do you have one?
Yeah, Jeff Samardzija.
That's
pretty random.
yeah,
That's
is
a pretty random one.
Wally.
I have a Kemba Walker, like teal jersey from the Charlotte Hornets.
I have a Stevie Williams Buffalo Bills jersey that I got at the Wisconsin sweat sale for $5.99, like maybe a decade and a half ago. Remember, you probably don't remember, Stevie Williams is one of those guys who had like one good year.
Oh, yeah, every team has those guys you fall in love with.
Oh yeah.
And so that's why it was at the sweat sale for the clearance, when they clear stuff out. You know, you go and like they have all these jerseys piled, and I found one that fit me. Stevie Williams Buffalo Bills, like circa 2005 or something like that.
Were those the dark blue ones or those bright blue ones?
It's a dark blue one. And,
Okay.
I don't even know it's in my basement somewhere, so I couldn't even pull it out and wear it today if I had to, but I know I have one down. I also have a Shaq Orlando Magic jersey that doesn't fit me anymore.
Pinstripes?
Yes, black.
Those were hot.
Yes. Charlie, who are you waving at?
Veli, Tyler, and Amy just got here from the station.
From Good Karma Brands.
I hear they're giving out free hugs over there.
No, actually, Karen Gibbs today had a who came by during the morning show, had a hat on that said free hugs.
I heard that. Yep.
So that's going on here today. Also today we're going to talk a little bit of football, NFL football, because Packers will play on Sunday night. Corey, you're a Bears fan.
Yep.
I'll
watch them.
Ready for disappointment. Wally's a Raiders
the
fan. Already knows where his season's fate's going to be, right? And
Born in disappointment.
And the Packers obviously have high expectations after having no expectations in 2023. We're also going to talk racing. Dave Shaneberger's here from the Shaneberger Racing Team. He's been here all afternoon. It's Sports Day. And we got to the trivia, but there's so many other things going on with Sports Day here today until 4 o'clock.
Yeah, you could play horse or ESPN with us over there by the basketball hoop. We're just hanging out. We're doing bags as well. We'll play by your rules. Just looking to hang out for sure and have some fun. Obviously, the car on site as well.
Dylan's here. He
Yep,
already beat us
there
in
he is.
ESPN.
Yep.
He already beat us. Yep, first game, and we lost right away.
You can stop by the Napleton 151 Swag Tent to get an Air Care free folding fan to cool off. Make yourself comfortable at the Radio Park Shade Tent, courtesy of Quality Cellular, U.S. Cellular. And 171 cans of Coors Light. Stop by. But is it between 3 and 6?
Yep.
If you're 21 years old, you drop your name in the box over at the Swag Tent. You must be present at 6 o'clock. We'll draw a name. If you're here, you'll get a coupon to pick up 171 cans of Coors Light, thanks to Frank Distributors next week. And all that beer is at the station right now.
It's crazy.
Ninja suggested this morning, who's doing the tech today for us on Daily Dodge TV, he suggested that it's going to be 168 cans. Then it was 153. Then it was down to 140.
Where are these going?
And then that came down to a 30. Then it's a 30-pack. So come on out today. Again, Pat McCurdy tonight. It's first time. I don't think, has Pat McCurdy ever played the Dodge County Fair?
It's his first time, he told me.
So if people have not, I had somebody, Charlie, you can describe it. Somebody came up to me at the Bayside Concessions and asked, how do you describe Pat McCurdy's music?
I would say it's sort of like a comic where he's doing music, but he's not a cover band. It's kind of like a comedy show, but he's a musician. Mm-hmm. That's the best way I can describe it. I'd say he leans adult to heavy adult kind of music.
Okay, and it's a fun time, like I said.
Very interactive with the crowd.
And Pat, obviously, Wally, well, you were in Wisconsin for 3 years. Have you ever seen Pat McCurdy?
I haven't seen him yet, so this is going to actually be a really fun evening for all of us here.
And Corey, same as you?
Yeah, first time.
Has anybody out there actually seen Pat McCurdy perform at all in what do you think, Sandy? You gonna stick
Rave
around?
reviews.
You gonna stick around until Sandy's a VIP here, so I have a feeling that she is not leaving until the park closes tonight. She got the VIP pass here from Shaneberger Racing. Again, come on out. They're gonna talk to Dave now. I feel so humiliated right now because we have the 16 car here. I could not get into the car, and so I called the young guys over. And how'd it go, Corey?
Went fine, stress free. It was a tight fit, but yeah, we got through.
I've got long limbs, so it was kind of hard to get in there, but I slid right in.
Now Wally, who's built
here
like
we go.
if I would say is Wally
Is he svelte? No.
Can he be Jerome Bettis?
Like probably after another 3 months of burgers.
I'm trying to think who we could describe Wally as. Could Wally? I was gonna say Tootie Robbins, but that's too much of it's too old of a.
I am a round man.
You're round, but you got into that vehicle. You jumped up into this race car, and you just got into it like you've been done it 1,000 times. You got him faster than Dave. It's unbelievable.
See, like we all like racing here, at least quite a few of us
Yeah.
do. So like, I'm just used to watching these guys jump in the cars their whole life. And I'm like, I'm gonna just pretend to be the same guy.
And you did. You sold it well. You got in, and everybody was like, "Oh my goodness, this guy!" I said, "It's Tony Stewart," because he's not a big guy. He's a big guy.
Yeah, he's like 5'6", isn't he?
But he's thick. You know who's the smallest guy in the world? In my previous life, we did a full show with Dale Earnhardt Jr. He flew in because he had a partnership with Pepsi, flew into Sheboygan, and so we couldn't tell anybody. It was kind of a setup like this. We're doing a show when this is right in his heyday, when he was like one of the top dogs, when it comes to most recognizable athletes in the world. So we show up to the corporate office and we have our show set up like this. And hey, ladies and gentlemen, Dale Earnhardt Jr. He walks out. He is the smallest guy.
Most of them are.
They're like jockeys.
Has anybody ever met Dale Earnhardt Jr. or seen him? He's probably 5'2", maybe 130 pounds.
A lot of those guys are. Yeah, they have to fit.
Nicest guy in the world, but I was like, the other guy I was with was like 6'5", like 240, and I'm about that as well, not quite as tall. And I'm like, Dale. So there's a picture of Dale standing between us. It's like our son's high school graduation.
So is this junior you're talking
Yeah,
about?
junior.
Okay.
Yeah, not senior, junior.
I was gonna say senior. I don't know why. I imagine him being a little bigger.
Yeah.
No. So, but he's small. The Bush boys aren't big, are they? Joey Logano, are those guys?
Logano's a little taller.
Dave Schoenberger's. He's. You're not small either. You're not a little racer. I mean, he fits.
What are we doing, Wade?
Yeah,
Drive that thing out of here.
But he's. I bet you're probably 6'3". No, not quite 6'3", 6'2", 6'2". Yeah, he's rolled over a couple times. But he got into that vehicle like there's no problem, and so
Wade, it's still there. The car is still there. You can try again.
That's a good point.
I don't think I can do it.
I think we should whip that camera over and get a little chance for redemption.
Maybe sometime before the show is over if we can get that on tape. But I see everybody else is jumping right in. So
don't worry, I have a video of you already trying it, Wade.
Do you? Oh, yeah. Is that going to show up somewhere?
It can.
Let's try again. We can blackmail him here. Try again, and the video goes away forever.
Again, we are broadcasting live from the 171st Dodge County Fair at Radio Park. We got so much stuff going on. I mentioned Pat McCurdy. We've got a bunch of great things going on tomorrow. We'll talk about that with bands and entertainment and live things on Daily Dodge TV. Friday night as well. Tomorrow is going to be, we'll be broadcasting live, but you come out at Senior Day tomorrow, so you can come on out to go to the Charleston House in Beaver Dam, enjoy $2 off fair admission if you show up before noon, and got a bunch of things tomorrow, including Tony Rocker's schedule, an Elvis impersonator. Wally, I bet you could play Elvis. Late 70s Elvis.
Yeah, well, definitely.
Late Elvis. Yeah,
late
mid
stage
70s.
Elvis.
Late 70s, like Elvis circle, late 70s or 80s would be pretty easy. Just lay down.
A little hair flip for it?
No. So Meat Animal Sale is going to be tomorrow night, Friday. Good Kids and Family Day presented by Duranville Reel of Watertown Agribusiness Club, and that's going to be fun. We have Radio Park Rumble on. We have professional wrestling coming to Radio Park on Saturday night.
That should be fun.
Frozen Tundra Wrestling, and it's presented by Cost of Wisconsin, United Electric, and also Johnny's Lounge. 5 o'clock is bell time. A lot of buzz on that today.
Oh, that's going to be... I don't know if you guys have ever been to a live show.
This will be one. Yeah, this will be the first one.
Well, and especially, it's going to be great weather for that. We're going to have all kinds of food come out. It's going to be a great time. You're going to need to be there in person.
It's going to be food come out? What'd you say?
No, you got to have your food ready.
Oh,
like I said, I've already
Wally's
got
catering?
the grilled cheese brats.
Oh, I see.
I see caramel apples from here. What else? There's so much here.
So, Beaver Dam's own Baker Boys are going to be defending their title against Ghetto Gear Solid.
Wow.
Guys from Detroit.
What a name.
I know.
And strong name.
Onyx Andretti, who stole the title from All Day Marche Rocket. Marche gets his rematch tomorrow night. On Saturday night, I should say. Renee Michelle, who was in the Mae Young Classic, WWE NXT.
Oh,
she'll be here. So 5 o'clock. Mitch Kuhn already said he's showing up at 2 o'clock to park down his spot here.
Yep.
And the ring's going to go right in front of us. We will fit the ring in here. We measured it out. Nate from his tent place, Nate Soto, they worked it out, and we're going to get the ring in here, and it's going to be great. You know what else?
Break a chair over your back?
Yeah, are you going to get in on the action?
I'm not a trained professional.
Diving
sign a
from
waiver.
the stage onto the.
I just see like you being the kind of guy to pick a little trouble though.
Yeah.
You think so? Who
Start
am I
things
going to
up.
pick a trouble? Baker boys are. We're going to have in the main event combined well over like 1,200 pounds in the ring.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
But like, what if they come out
There's
here and
a
they
stat.
start dogging on Dodge County? Are you not going to let them do that in front of you?
Well, the Baker boys are from Beaver Dam.
Oh, they'll defend it.
Yeah, the Baker
Oh,
boys
good.
are Beaver
They'll be the
Dam.
defenders.
Those
Yeah,
guys
right.
are Beaver Dam
This
high
is
school
their home
grads.
turf. Yep.
Well,
Yeah.
maybe we get like the face change.
Yeah.
And they go evil on us here.
Ghetto Gear Solid, though, I know they're kind of upset that the Baker boys, like, because we did a full-fledged 23-minute Daily Dodge TV interview with the Baker boys.
Yep.
Ghetto Gear Solid is upset.
That you.
I know because
they're
then
going after you, Wade.
No, I actually.
You need to give them
no,
the interview.
We did this video, and I actually posted on Frozen Tundra, shared it, and Ghetto Gear Solid said, "Where is our time?"
Oh, they're
equal
definitely
time?"
coming after you.
No,
Yeah.
so I think I'm all right. You guys will have my back.
Oh, I'm going to point them right to you
1,200
if they
pounds.
ask.
What am I
I'm
going to do?
running.
Yeah.
I'm
So-
running.
So then that
Wade's over there.
again, the show. People ask, as long as you pay for your fair admission, it's a free show. You know, we'll have some seating. Otherwise, it's standing room. You know, you go to fair shows for professional wrestling. Plenty of room to watch. The ring's in the air. You'll be able to see all the action, and it's going to be a great time.
Can't wait for it.
You know what else is going to be a great time? The NFL season.
Yeah.
You know, and Packers represented here, the Bears represented here, and we're going to kind of get
Raiders.
the Raiders.
Yeah.
We're going to kind of break that down here on 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam as we broadcast live from the 171st Dodge County Fair. I am Wade Bates, along with Corey Sparks, Charlie Dern, and Wally Lukashenski on 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam.
Wisconsin Sports Preview Show here on 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam. We are live from the 171st Dodge County Fair. Wade Bates, Corey Sparks, Charlie Dern, and Wally Lukashenski with you. We brought up the Packers a little bit before we went to our first break. This is a different year, guys. Expectations were kind of lower last year going into it. New quarterback, we're losing a Hall of Famer. What on earth are we going to do? What I think the over-under for wins going into the season was hovering around 7. There's expectations now, and yesterday, I think it was Fox 11 in Green Bay, that Cody Krupp was talking to A.J. Dillon about Twitter fingers and people who are kind of critiquing him. I know there's talk, is he going to make the roster? One of the running backs went down, and he said something along the lines of, if you don't live in my house, your opinion is secondary. What is your take on a quote like that from someone who might kind of be fighting for a starting spot, or not a starting spot, but a spot on the 53-man?
There's I mean, love it.
Yeah,
What
I like
other
it.
way can you look at that? He's quieting out everybody. The Bears went through something similar when Trubisky was there, where in the locker room, Trubisky turned off all the TVs and said, "We're not listening to
through
the
Hallis
outside
Hall.
noise." And
Yep.
you know, I love that kind of thing. I'm all in for that.
Oh, and me. I was going to say, we were
Yeah.
trading looks there, Wade, but
Yeah.
no. You have to do this. You have to say that. It doesn't really change anything at the end of the day. If he's going to have a roster spot, it has nothing to do with what Joe Schmo on Twitter is
Right.
tweeting at A.J. Dillon. So who cares? If I'm him, I'm not listening at all either.
Yeah.
Tunnel vision.
You know, A.J. Dillon's an interesting story, though, because obviously Packers are going to let him go. You know, this way it seemed, the way the draft came out, he ended up, re-signing at a very team-friendly deal. And you look at the numbers game, didn't know where he was going to fit, and then they went and drafted, a guy pretty high in the draft. He still came back because he absolutely, he's the mayor of Door County.
Yep.
He loves Door County. He's one of those guys, regardless of where his career ends, he is going to end up living here. Like honestly, like Mike McCarthy, he's going to live in Green Bay for the rest of his life.
Oh, yeah, he
or
is a
somewhere
homer.
in Wisconsin. But Charlie, the odds of him making the roster are what?
Very high. He's going to make the
You
roster.
think he's going to make they're not going to have 4 running backs. What about Emmanuel Wilson? What about the rookie? What about
I know,
Rookie went
and then
down.
they also just signed a guy from the UFL. I want to say.
Okay.
But I mean, I don't think they're going to cut AJ Dillon this year. But
Especially if it is a team-friendly deal. It doesn't really hurt to keep him around.
and I know that he had 4 rushes for 2 yards in the first preseason game. Not great.
Yeah.
Not great at all. But I still think that they're ultimately going to have to keep him around in some degree. I don't know if he can even qualify for the practice squad or not. But I think they're going to keep him around. This might be the last year, the swan song for him. But he's going to be on the team.
Well, Josh Jacobs is going to make the team.
Yeah,
good
Lloyd-
take,
Josh
good
Jacobs'
take.
backfield.
Third
yeah.
round pick is going to make the team. Emmanuel Wilson, is the kind of that change of pace guy. And so I don't know where A.J. Dillon fits in.
The thing is, A.J. Dillon has a skill set none of those guys have, and it's just running straight
But-
through people, and that's all he does.
But he doesn't run through people anymore.
He does.
He runs straight into people.
He's a little smaller
falls
now,
down.
too. He cut down.
And I
too.
love A.J.
Yeah.
Dillon.
Yeah, I still
but-
think, though, with Josh Jacobs being also a bell cow back where they're going to give it to him all the time. I
Great
still
out of the
think
backfield, too.
Right, and he's great in the red zone, so I still think on some of those short yardage situations they're going to give it to Dillon.
He's not as dinged up.
No,
Yeah.
and that's going to be an interesting story because is A.J. Dillon. Charlie, have you been to Packers training camp at all this year?
I haven't been, but I've been following along closely. He looks great, physically great.
He cut down,
lost
yeah.
a lot of weight, and he's kind of slimmed down. And he looks more explosive just by looking at him. I can't confirm based on 4 rushes for 2 yards or whatever his stat line was, but I think he looks great.
They said his body fat level is even less than what it was last year.
Yeah.
He's in the best shape of his
Yeah.
life, but
He's ripped now.
Well, and that's where the whole conversation started. Is the reporter out of Green Bay was asking him, people are critiquing you for your 4 rush for 2 yard performance. Oh, he can't get a yard on 3rd and 1, goal to go situations. And then he made the point that 99% of people talking can't do what he does, which is a good point.
Okay,
And it's
I
healthy,
mean-
though.
I
I mean,
mean-
the mentality, but let's not kid ourselves. He lives on social media. He's great at social media.
Yeah, he did
He's
claim he's
seeing
never on it. He claimed he's never on it, but somehow he heard that they were talking about him.
Yeah, and he's the mayor of
so-
Door County.
Right.
This guy knows what he's doing. He knows how to get people to love him. And it's healthy, I think, to actually be able to at least ignore Joe Schmo's tweet
Right.
about how he should be off the team.
But is Joe Schmo always wrong? I don't know.
have any
you
of
could
you
have.
3 ever tweeted at a professional athlete, even in your younger days? Did you ever at anybody? For those of you old like me,
I don't
I mean
tag-
directly tag like an A.J. Dillon or tag Aaron Rodgers or tag for you Mitch Trubisky or
think I've done
Henry Burris or Shane Matthews. Who else can we have for bad Bears? Mike Tomczak.
Do
Those
they
are-
have Twitter? I don't know.
no, but Mike Tomczak, they never had
Trubisky
Twitter.
does. We know
No,
that.
but have you ever added anybody or at Twitter? Do you know people that have?
Wally and I were actually talking about that. Yeah, we both might have scrubbed our Twitters after we got hired, but no, I didn't actually tag anyone. I never tag anyone. I went through the whole J School experience where they teach you specifically not to do something like that.
Yeah.
But I've definitely tweeted some things that are at players. Just I won't directly tag them so that they see it, and I don't go in DMs and do that either.
No, the people that actually go into those DMs and are going after people, that has always blown my mind.
do you
It
think
is a
you're doing?
game at the end of the
Yeah.
day.
Yeah, you don't go in your DMs, but then people also, even if you don't tag somebody, there are athletes that just search their name all the time.
Yeah.
I remember we were sitting at the NFL draft one year, and I can't remember who it was, but it was a wide receiver got taken, and somebody said, probably going to be another. And I can't remember who. It's bothering me. I can't remember who it was. And then all of a sudden we're sitting here, and the guy who tweeted it out said, "Hey, I just got a reply from said guy who kind of ripped."
Well, we also see too, like this last week, there was that backup goalie in the NHL is tweeting or Instagramming at himself, getting angry about something that he himself had said. So it's like we saw Kevin Durant with the burners.
I was going to say, there's burners out there.
You know, there's so many more that we know about too. It's just a matter of who is the type of guy that's actually going out there and tweeting at himself to be upset.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm the only person of the four up here that thinks A.J. Dillon is not going to make this Packers roster. He won't be there in week one when he won't be making the trip to Brazil is what I'm saying.
I would probably lean more with Charlie. I do think that there's a sentimental value that it feels like this team's wanting every excuse to keep him.
He's done everything right off the field. Never any issues, really good personality, good glue guy, mayor of Door County. He's got that going for him as well, and I think, like Charlie said with the team-friendly deal, you're not really losing much by keeping him.
I just don't see them keeping 4 running backs.
Well, yeah, they'll
practice squad one.
Yeah, they'll practice squad.
Patrick
Emmanuel
Taylor,
Wilson. Do it again last year where who was it? Was it Lucas Patrick? Was that his name?
Yes.
Yeah, they just would keep putting him back and forth on the practice
That was Patrick
squad.
Taylor.
Taylor,
Lucas Patrick was an offensive lineman.
With the Bears now.
Yeah, right.
It's not that unusual anymore to keep 4 guys. We've even seen 5 kept on teams before, especially if they're utilizing special teams. I know that's kind of asking a little bit too much of A.J. Dillon. It doesn't really feel like he would fit in that role.
And with injuries, he's been healthy for the most part in his career, besides for like some quad or like oblique things that have happened. So with him being healthy, I think he's going to be on the roster week 1. I think there's going to be some shuffling in the running back room, but ultimately that position's not even like a really big problem on the Packers roster.
It's not really a problem in general to not have a bell cow either. Like Josh Jacobs, bad example. He could be an all-purpose back, but there's not a whole lot of Derrick Henrys out there anymore. You need 3 or 4 guys, otherwise they're all going to retire at 26 because their knees are gone.
So we're saying passports for A.J. Dillon for that Friday.
Yeah, he'll get one.
All right, all right. So let's first of all talk about J.J. McCarthy. We see Packers rivals, the Vikings. He tears his meniscus. Sam Darnold is going to be stepping in up there. The Vikings, where are we putting them in this NFC North right now?
They're going to be last for sure.
It feels like it, right?
I think they were always last. Yep.
We weren't. Jake Hayes is also coming in here in his Marcus Mariota jersey. Breaking news.
Wow.
Jordan Addison's hurt too. Jeez, the Vikings are a mess. Yeah, they're going to have to punt on this season. They're going to finish last. I think it's going to be a tight race between the Packers, Lions, and the Bears. It does hurt to say that, but I might have a Lions Super Bowl ticket already purchased, but not great with Jahmyr Gibbs going down too. There's a lot of injuries, a lot of uncertainty in the NFC North this year.
Well, guys, as we broadcast live from the 171st Dodge County Fair on 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam, our Wisconsin sports preview until 4 o'clock today. Come on out until 4 o'clock because you can come and see the Shaneberger racing car out here. You can play bags probably most of the night. You've got the Napleton 151 swag tent. Vili works for a company. He has the foot-long corn dog. He just took the entire. Did you see what he just did?
No.
This is unbelievable.
Annihilating it.
Vili annihilated the foot-long corn dog from Squire's Doghouse here. Amy Hudson's got the foot-long as well.
It's her first time ever having a corn dog.
How does that happen?
Calling it out.
Is it really?
Yeah.
That long without a corn
What do you guys
dog?
put on your corn dogs? If you have to have one, Corey, we're making you try it.
My mouth. That's it.
That's
You
it?
don't put anything on
Yeah,
your...
pause.
Okay, all right. You don't put anything on the corn dog. What are you putting on it?
Ketchup.
No.
Won't lie. I mean, like, I have a corn dog if it.
Mustard.
Yeah, mustard's the way to
Ninja
go.
got it right. Well, see, I'm adding ketchup too. Pittsburgh guy, I gotta have my Heinz on there.
Dressing our
Another
corn
thing,
dogs.
come on, you gotta get a little Heinz more
Squire's
around here.
Doghouse has been here 50 years.
I go brats over corn dogs or
okay,
hot dogs
okay.
any day of the week.
John, the guy who was at Squire's Doghouse, said he needed money for college, and the guy said he had this corn dog stand. Buy it, he can make some money this summer for college. 50 years later, he's still making money for college because he never went.
Oh,
and
he's really been saving up.
He's been the corn dog guy for his whole. Think of that life though. You get to find vendors here. The people that they travel from town to town. They'll do the northern part of the country in the summertime months. Then they'll go down south and hit all the events, and that's all they do is They probably don't have an address, and they just go from place to place, making gyros and tacos and beef brisket.
Corn dogs, Jackie, for all these people. Semi-pro.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, all right, drilled it.
It is Sports Day today, and can I take a break, Corey?
Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
That's right. This is a Wisconsin Sports Preview on 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam.
Herdsmanship. I learned the word herdsmanship today. And apparently we're judging for that. So we're here at the 171st Dodge County Fair. This is the Wisconsin Sports Preview Show on 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam, live from 2 to 4. And myself, Charlie Dern, and Wally Lukashinsky are going to be judges for herdsmanship. Just a couple tenths down.
Still didn't know the word until, I mean, I still really don't know the word.
Yeah.
But we're judging, which they wanted the common man, And that's about as much as we can promise tomorrow.
That was the deal we had to make, is if there is any prior knowledge required, we are 100% out. And she said, just nope, you got to be man on the street, average knowledge, don't have to have any prior knowledge, and we'll build you from the ground up. So we're going to do that tomorrow. I think the plan is between 9 and noon, right?
Yeah, there was like 3 options. It was sheep, beef, and maybe one other. But we're going with beef tomorrow.
We got the beef?
Yep. Yeah. Oh,
So
yeah.
What happened was that Amy Voigt, I ran into her down at their tent, and I've done it in the past. And she's like, "Hey, do you want to judge herdsmanship tomorrow again?" I'm like, I go, I have a great. Originally, I'm like Wally.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, were you guys in the middle of frisbee golf when I called you, Wally?
No, I actually had to go to Milwaukee and pick up a suit yesterday.
A suit for what?
Well, see, I got the sleeves trimmed up. As a big fella, the sleeves are always long when they get the top all good.
Okay.
Had to get it tailored. Got that. So, anyways, that's where I was at,
It
Wade.
was flown in from Italy, Wade.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
He's the Pat Riley of the best dressed man in
First
ESPN
class.
Beaver Dam.
Yep.
ESPN Wisconsin. So then all of us this morning, I'm like, I talked to Amy. I'm like, how many slots do you have open? I'm like, Corey, Wally, and Charlie are all going to be doing herdsmanship here this week. And, there's a bunch of kids between the ages of probably 6 and 19 years old that, their futures depend on you guys.
Oh, that is a heavy burden. I was just told that we're going to go over, have some fun, make sure that I think the requirements are the pen's got to be clean. There needs to be a sense of cleanliness there. There's different questions we can ask the different FFA members between ages 6 to 19 of what do you know about your animal? Because I don't know anything about your animal, so we're going to learn about some today. I didn't know their whole future was depending on me, Wade. That's a little...
See, we were talking in the break. I just found out that chocolate milk doesn't come from brown cows.
Yeah.
So this is it's gonna undo a lot for me trying to figure this out.
Maybe that's one of your questions.
It's gonna
See
be.
if they fell for the myth.
So somebody told me, I forgot who it was. It wasn't the fairest of the fair. It may have been Eric. Was it Eric from the meat auction sale? Somebody this morning told me that actually it's you feed your cows toast and they get chocolate milk.
Ah, that makes
That's what
more
he told
sense.
me. That was Tom Ballwig. Sandy goes, Tom Ballwig told me that from Ballwig Implement. That told me, look at that. You should be our producer here, Sandy. You earned yourself another liquid refreshment up here in the VIP tent. But yeah, so you guys are herdsmanship tomorrow. Now,
We are.
From what I understand, you guys are all going to take there's 3 different pens, right? Because you took the beef, right?
Yep.
Oh, yeah,
We are all
So-
team beef.
So each of you have to go through all 3 of the buildings, and you combine your scores.
Essentially, I think so. I think we're doing a group score type of deal. We agreed we wanted to do this together because we're a little lost. We'll get comfortable as we go on, but we're going to be herding through the herdsmanship.
Herdsmanship.
Nice,
Horrible
Corey.
joke.
That was great.
Wally, when you
Horrible.
guys
Never
applied
again.
for this job, you didn't know you'd be judging at the Dodge County
Yeah.
Fair,
Was-
right?
That wasn't on the
That's what I was
contract,
hoping
was
for.
it?
Yeah, it was like the top of the list. I'm
Oh,
like,
it
I
was,
gotta make
yeah.
sure I get out there for
I
that.
thought so.
What do you think the cleanliness of the Packers win-loss column is going to be this year?
Ooh, 10 and 7.
I like that. I like 10, 11 wins
I think
for
there's
us.
a lot of
10 or
double-digit
11.
win contenders in that division.
Part of
Like
me
two or
gets a
three of them.
little nervous, though, because everyone's talking about it like it's a Super Bowl year, which it very well could be.
They were 2
Very well
steps
could be.
away.
But as soon as everyone gets on board, that's when I start getting nervous about any of my sports teams.
And there's the whole superstition of, every time it is supposed to be the Packers, every time they're the 1 seed. Now we're talking a couple months ahead of time. It doesn't go well. But when they're the underdogs, like last year, or like in 2010 when they were a 6 seed, they make the run. Here's a question for all of you. Who's surpassed expectations more in their last season? The Packers in 23, new quarterback, essentially new offense now that it gets to be run by Matt LaFleur. That was flying around a lot. Or the Brewers in 24 so far. They're leading the NL Central by a decent clump of games without their manager. We'll go down the line and start with Wally.
I think that you got to go with the Packers. I mean, I think it's so easy to forget now that team was 1 stop away from going to Detroit with a chance to go to the Super Bowl.
And they looked beatable, too. The Lions did.
They looked very
In the
beatable.
postseason,
And
yeah.
the Packers, I mean, you get elite play. That's why you paid Jordan Love the way you did.
Mm-hmm.
I think that you got to say that was the one that at least exceeded expectations. the most.
I think last year the game, and you mentioned last year's expectations, because I was sending tweets out last year comparing this Packers team in the first 6-8 weeks of the year.
You were nailing it
No,
in. Yeah.
They were comparing them to like the 86 team. The teams that were like the 90, 91 teams that were so bad. I mean, I thought they looked like one of the worst teams in Packers history. And then all of a sudden, you went to the Pittsburgh. They didn't win in Pittsburgh, did they?
I don't think
No,
so.
they lost. But all of a sudden, Jordan Love, Charlie, they played. That's where Jordan Love all of a sudden, minus that game against Chicago in the opener, all of a sudden he looked really good.
That Steelers game, we had a pack attack party
Yes.
at Tower
It was the
Lanes.
turning point.
Yeah, that,
Yep.
and I felt like a bit of a jinx there, just the fact that was my first pack attack party and the Packers lost that game. But yeah, I think that everyone's right here. I will admit I'm kind of a loser Brewers fan. I don't ever really believe in the team all that much when there's other teams spending $1 billion and then our owners stealing sand from beaches in Malibu.
That was a
So,
headline yesterday.
That was a
Yeah.
headline yesterday. I'd love to get into that if we'd like, but I think we should stay on with the Packers
Yeah.
here.
I just
Wait, you always do the doomsday stuff with our sports teams.
Yeah.
After 3 games with the Bucks this year, you said the season's over and fire Adrian.
And it
Griffin.
was- and
You
it was.
weren't-
That did
you
happen.
weren't- You weren't
Both
that
things
wrong.
happened. Yeah.
No.
However, I didn't think that the Packers were going to be terrible. I was hoping for 500 last year, and the fact that we got all the way that far in the playoffs, I'd say
Yeah.
the Packers, Brewers season, they're 7-8 games in front of the division.
7.5 right now.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I mean that's incredible, and we got the new manager who's Pat Murphy, who's supposed to be. I think he's the head guy for manager of
He
the
should
year
be
right
front
now
runner,
in the NL.
considering.
I
Yeah.
can tell Pat Murphy got hired, they think, because he was going to go with Craig Counsell. I think Mark Atanasio, I was told, didn't want to have them both go, so he hired him. And I was kind of up in the air on Pat Murphy. I love Pat Murphy because he's old school baseball. He goes on hunches, doesn't just use analytics and launch angles. And I had no idea, especially with their throwing Wally Lukashinsky out there to start a few games here. Their pitching staff has been so decimated, and they're still finding ways. And the fact that they could lose 3 in a row here like they have and still be 7.5 games up in the division, to me, is like, wow.
There's really been no second fiddle the last couple of months. I think the first few weeks of the season, even into late May, it was kind of a cluster at the top, and since then everything's separated. It's been Brewers the last 2 months.
Well, it's crazy,
3
too.
months.
You and I were talking at least a little earlier. The Brewers, they had no real expectations this year either. The NL Central as a whole was kind of collectively looked at as a team that were going to win 82, 83, 84 kind of games. And with what they've done, I mean, they kind of feel like a real team that can go on a little bit of a run. You just got to get that pitching to stay healthy.
Yeah, I got 50 years of being disappointed by Wisconsin sports teams. The Packers found a way to do it twice. The Bucks got through a few years back. But, regular season, I can't watch a regular season game. No, I just want Packers, Brewers, Bucks. They just need to make the playoffs and then don't fail there. Because realistically, your expectations, Charlie, would you agree that it comes into 3 or the 4 games in January and February for your season to be a success?
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely with the Packers, I'd say that the postseason success matters the most. Well, I mean, of course, every sport it does,
Right.
but I'd say, the Packers this year, it probably goes Bucks, Packers for me on what needs to happen this current next cycle of postseason. The Brewers, I don't know how big their window is. It feels like it could be long, especially if we end up paying Willie Adames over the offseason.
Had a phenomenal season. I'm curious. I'll ask the 2 Brewers fans this year. The Packers, obviously, coming into this last season with not a whole lot of expectations. New signal caller under center. The whole term house money was being thrown around ESPN Wisconsin a lot.
Yeah.
House money.
Last
when
year
we're going
it
into
was.
the
It
playoffs.
was.
Yeah. House money. We're going into the playoffs. If we don't win, whatever. If we do, it's the Cowboys, and that'd be sweet. Are you feeling the same way about a Brewers team that didn't have a lot of expectations?
No.
Is this house money, or do you need to get past
See,
that first series?
The problem that I have last year with the Packers is that the Packers are playing blackjack.
Yeah.
They had 20. Dealer had 5 showing, and then Anders Carlson decided to hit on 20, and then they busted, and then because he makes that field goal, I really think that Joe Barry attacks it differently when you're up 7, and then I don't think San Francisco.
Joe Barry was still going to cushion on defense no matter what.
But that's why you look at it and you look back and 2014 and last year, there were no expectations last year for the Packers, but you look at it and they should have been in the bowl.
Right.
Packers, they would have gone to Detroit and won.
Well, that's the thing I wanted to ask you guys, because if 1 or 2 things goes differently, we're talking about a team that could have been in the Super Bowl. What is the appropriate expectation now? Because it was the Detroit Lions they were going to play. That's another Super Bowl type team. Is it division or seasons viewed as a disappointment unless you, I guess, surpass the Lions in the playoffs? How's that work?
Yep, I think you have to make the tournament, as Mike McCarthy used to always say.
Mm-hmm.
You need to make the tournament and you need to win the Super Bowl, otherwise it's failure.
No, it's not a failure if we don't make if we lose the Super Bowl, the season's not a failure.
If you make the Super Bowl, you need to get there.
I think we need to make the
NFC Championship
NFC
would even be another
Championship
step
game.
forward.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think we need to just keep taking steps forward. I don't think we need to make jumps forward, leaps and bounds forward. I think we're right there. I think we're knocking the NFC. It's pretty weak this year at the top. It's
Niners,
really not
Packers,
much.
and Lions.
And the
I would say.
Niners,
Those are the 3.
The Niners, huge question mark. Lions just had Jahmyr Gibbs go down with an injury. the Packers might not win the division, and we still could make the Super Bowl. Like I don't think that it's doomsday if we don't win the Super Bowl this year.
Got to get there, though. I mean, I just think in Title Town, we don't hang what did Mike McCarthy say? Would he say we don't hang banners for division championships?
That's right, we don't. The Vikings do.
Yeah.
Bears do.
Yeah.
Raiders might, probably.
I mean,
Do
no.
they?
No,
Can
I
you
was going to
speak
say
on
they
that?
still
Yeah.
have a
What's the
pride
standard?
of things that happened 40 years ago.
Yeah, but look at
Tradition
the,
of excellence.
I think is it easier to get to the Super Bowl if you make the playoffs than it is to get to the World Series in baseball making the playoffs?
I would say it's harder to make the Super Bowl than the World
think?
Series.
You can only slip up once, and then you're done.
Yeah.
That's it. There's not a whole lot of margin for error there.
I'd argue it's easier to make the Super Bowl than make the World Series.
Really?
Just
I guess
because
if you're hot at the right time,
That's
right?
the thing. In baseball, we see teams, 84-win teams, go to the World Series. It's very seldom. You see that 9-7, I guess now 9-8 with the 17-game season. We don't really see that happen. I mean, how many times can you look at wild card teams win it all? The Steelers and the Packers are two
Yeah,
that did it.
2010
It doesn't
Packers,
happen
right.
much more than that.
Interesting.
Then you have the Diamondbacks last year in the
Exactly.
MLB that just go on. They just get hot at the right time. They go on a run. Corbin Carroll? He's not even good anymore, right?
Yeah.
Like,
well,
that's
even the
all it
Rangers.
takes.
Rangers were sub 500 almost at the break. I think right before the break, they flipped it around and had one of the faster rebuilds, which is very hard to do in baseball that you've seen.
Yeah, baseball, you just got to get hot at the right time. So, I mean, I'd say it's a little easier.
So no house money for Milwaukee, though.
No.
No, why?
They haven't, because they've never done anything.
No, right.
So
But why do they not get the grace of, we're happy to be here because we lost our manager that was taking us there for the last 6 years? The expectation with
that was
Counsell
I think that was the. I think there's an argument to be made now that maybe
shouldn't.
Craig Counsell was the reason they didn't.
Oh,
they
okay.
didn't-
All right.
They didn't.
This
They didn't.
spin.
They didn't get to the next level.
was Craig Counsell the problem?
I
love that.
I think he
post.
may.
That's a
I'd
great.
love to see
I
some numbers
I
there.
think that's a legit question you have to make because how many times did Craig think he was the smartest guy in the
Oh,
room, make
no,
stupid decisions,
absolutely.
and I'm gonna throw in Josh Hader in the third inning of a game.
He totally would overcoach
Yeah.
the bullpens and have like
The early
bullpen
hook.
games in like the
Yep.
second game of the series. And
because you're seeing it in
drove me
Chicago right now.
crazy.
They're creeping back to the 500 mark, but I mean that's been kind of an utter disappointment this year for Chicago. They're winning
so
the series
far,
again.
if you froze the season right now, it would be an utter disappointment. They've gotten a little hot, but yeah, no, the early hook, I've definitely grown accustomed to being a little irritated by that. Someone puts a runner on second and you're up 4-2 and they're
88
throwing well and
pitches.
he's gone. Yeah, don't love that, to be honest. He was the problem, really. Is that an angle that's going around right now?
I thought that right away as soon
Okay.
as early on. I think Craig Counsell was the problem here in Milwaukee for
How
all these
early?
years.
Like when they were 1-0 against the
Yeah.
Mets, or did you give it a little time and then you were like,
I just think that Craig always would do weird stuff.
okay.
Weird
Corey,
stuff.
I will say, I think this whole Brewers season might have been house money looking at it because
Yeah.
I don't
So
know
that-
what the because
Right.
if we're gonna use that term, I wouldn't say it now, like because now that we're 8 games in front of the
Right.
division, 7.5 games, like now it's true, now it's on, now we have to do something.
I agree with that.
But in the very beginning of the season in April, I don't know what the expectations
There were
really
none.
even were. There weren't really any.
But now that they're in the playoffs, if they lose, is this season a disappointment? Because I would argue it's not.
I would say it's disappointing after you're 8 games above the rest of the division and you're not able to get anything done. I mean, this is a team that lost when a ball went underneath Trent Grisham's glove in Washington D.C. You know, we've had really bad playoff success or playoff results that just continue happening. They need to at least win one round.
Right.
Yeah, you got to
Win a round. Got to make
Gotta be
make it
this
to the
year?
second round. Absolutely.
Because the leash isn't short on Pat Murphy. You guys are. I would be just happy to be here because the lines were coming out at higher 70s for what the win total was supposed to be in April. Not really expecting to be in the playoffs, but now that you're above 500, you've got to go deep.
But this is our window.
The expectations do change.
Right.
And
I know there's
they've-
urgency with being a smaller market too. I understand that as well.
Yeah, it's just like
okay,
as
let's-
the season goes on, you've
Yeah.
played this well. You are 7.5 games up on a poor division.
Right.
You got to take advantage of this opportunity.
Maybe that's just the nature of being in a longer season too. Because
Yeah, for
again,
sure.
the whole house money thing of the Packers have really only played 9 or 10 good games under Jordan Love back half of the season. The Brewers have found some time to kind of gain their bearings, and now we're going, okay, we still have a couple months, and they're probably going to grab the division easily.
Well, now, and we've got an owner that, he's not exactly shelling out contracts. And so, will Willie Adames get paid? It seems likely. It seems like we have to. But Yelich hasn't really done anything in the postseason that he can hang his hat on. At some point, that window does close for those guys. We already had to get rid of Corbin Burns because we weren't going to pay him. We shorted him $700K in arbitration, and he left.
This is the Wisconsin to Sports Preview Show on 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam live at the 171st Dodge County Fair. KBN will be back tomorrow. We're on until 4 o'clock. You're going to talk racing with Shane Berger Racing here at 3 o'clock. At 4 o'clock, it's the Radio Park Rumble preview show. We'll hear from Simon, the owner of Frozen Tundra Wrestling, All Day Marche Rocket, and the Baker Boys here, taking you up to the Homer Hour at 5 o'clock. And Pat McCurdy on the stage here as well at 5 o'clock, making his debut at the Dodge County Fair. So it's going to be an awesome day here today. Could you ask for a better day at the fair, guys?
Weather's beautiful. Mid to high 70s. We've got a light wind. We've got some trees, but it looks like it's kind of shady out to begin with. Like the sun's not blaring. I love it.
Corey, you want to take us to break?
Yep, this is the Wisconsin Sports Preview Show on 1430 ESPN. Back in a couple. This is the Wisconsin Sports Preview Show here on 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam and Daily Dodge TV. Wade Bates, Corey Sparks, Charlie Dern, and Wally Lukashinsky here with you for a couple minutes before we do interview Dave Schoenberger. He was on WBEV a couple of hours ago. I want to get his take on the Austin Dillon incident. We're going to ask about his car, how he got started, and everything else. But news is kind of brewing in the racing world right now. We'll save your guys' opinions for that, too, and we'll shift gears just for a couple minutes. What's everyone's favorite fair food above all else?
It's got to be fried.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
I grew up watching, I'd say over the last 5 or so years with I guess that's not growing up then, but with my parents, it's called Carnival Eats on the Food Network. And that is an awesome show, watching some of the craziest foods that are at fairs. So I still have to do a good lap and really look for the craziest thing that I've seen here. But I think so far it's the grilled cheese brat.
That is phenomenal from Annabelle's. I've had that before the fair. Wally just had it, hour and a half, 2 hours ago?
I don't think it was in my hand for 30 seconds.
Wally, did you hear about the grilled cheese brat? Just wander by and did your nose take you there?
I'm not even sure. I just know that it was like a love at first sight when I walked in today, and it was the first thing I saw.
I'm a cheese curd guy,
Okay,
but
yeah.
the only place I ever eat a gyro is at a fair.
Sure.
So Hari here has I've been wandering the Dodge County Fair with Klodowski Real Estate all day long over on 95.3. I've had 3 people mention Hari, and he's been doing this for 34 years. His Euro's kind of right down the middle of the main drag on the midway going into the thing, and he'll have a long line, but they work him through fast. And I would have to say the Euro, because that's the only place I eat it is at the fair.
I love Euros. Oakland Euros in Milwaukee is fantastic, and then Parthenon
I was
Euros
gonna
in
say,
Madison. Parth is awesome.
I've had in my younger days. I've had many experiences at the Parthenon over the years.
Yeah,
You're never before midnight.
Oh yeah, right, exactly. I had some buddies that worked there, so then they'd come home after their shift with some free Parth. It was awesome.
Oh.
See,
Great
but one of the
fries.
coolest parts, I'm sure you guys feel the same way about this, is getting to meet everybody in the area. And
Yeah.
I got to meet a new friend today, Rudy, who his first thing he did to tell me when I'm asking for suggestions is say, these Euros. You got to have one of these Euros. So that's going to be maybe day 2.
When you stop into the Hari, say, hey, the guys on the radio, WBEV or ESPN Beaver Dam sent us over here because they were talking about the Euros. And Hari, I talked to Hari at the Washington County Fair, talked to him at the Beaver Dam Fair. Every year I talk to Hari, and we'll be hearing from him in my Wandering Wade segments with Klodowski Real Estate. But so I'm gonna say the Euro.
All right, how do we feel about fried Oreos?
Phenomenal.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Literally anything fried, it will taste good to a certain degree.
Do you know what I've developed I've developed a taste for the fried pickles.
Oh yeah.
Anybody like fried
fantastic.
pickles? You know?
Oh, with ranch?
Yeah.
I'm not a ranch guy.
You and I might get run out of this town because I only think I eat ranch with fried pickles.
Okay. See, that's acceptable. You don't
about
put ranch on
wings?
pizza, do you?
No, God,
Fries?
no.
You know,
Marinara sauce.
I don't know who decided
Fries?
ranch went on slices of pizza. One of my kids had
Fries,
pizza.
yeah.
I ordered a pizza the other day. Didn't order ranch, so my kid's like, I can't eat the pizza.
Ooh.
It's like a thing here. That's something I'm going to have to adjust to. You guys are going to hate me for a little while, but I've got all my mid-Atlantic mentality stuff for right now.
What if you're getting a barbecue chicken pizza? Ranch should be already on there.
I'll probably
No.
put more
Yeah.
barbecue on.
Yeah.
I
don't know how much
It's not
we
that
can-
crazy. It's not
how-
called barbecue ranch pizza.
Yeah, I don't know how
Ranch
much
with
we can let
wings?
Wally talk about pizza here. He doesn't think pineapple belongs on it.
It
so,
doesn't.
Yeah, it's,
This used to
it's
be a
whole nother
country.
conversation. Are you pineapple on pizza?
I
Yeah?
have no. I think that's like Nickelback. I think people decided it wasn't appropriate, so they then they just said pineapple's not good, and people think it's cool to say pineapple doesn't work on
Pineapple is fantastic.
Follower.
It's delicious. You do not have to put things together just because you like multiple things.
pizza. That's what
Okay.
when the guy put peanut butter with chocolate once, they probably shunned him, and look what happened.
It's
I
a
like
little
that,
different.
Wade. I like it.
There was one the other day I saw where it was a guy folded
I know
up a
what this
pizza
is, yeah.
into a cone, put spaghetti in a bunch of, it wasn't even a marinara, but it was another sauce on top.
A carb salad.
Just because
Yeah.
you like two things doesn't mean they're better together. Mm-hmm. Period.
A lot of times it does, though. A lot of times it does.
Usually 2 rights make a double right.
I will
Yeah.
say fried Oreos. I just brought them up. It's literally just Oreos and you fry it, and I
Yeah.
love it. It's
Yeah.
2 things you don't need.
Can't go wrong.
Might have to go give that a shot. I know there's a fast pitch somewhere where you either guess or you just try and throw as hard as you can. We'll have to go check that out, see what we can get on the radar gun. What's the standard, Wally? Low 60s? I think
That's
Charlie
what
played
we-
baseball before, too. What are you
Gotta get
thinking?
them
Low,
RPMs
mid,
in.
high 60s? Low 70s?
I'll definitely be throwing my shoulder out,
Yeah.
trying to
Yeah.
crack 70, but I definitely want to get on some of those rides over there.
Well, I already got stuck in a race car. I don't want to tear my rotator cuff at the fair as well.
I already threw my shoulder out once in baseball. I fractured my growth plate. They thought I tore my labrum. Doctor told me in like 8th grade, it was like, you might not throw again. And I was like, that's not something you tell like an 8th grader. An 8th grader?
You could have been a southpaw. Let's get that ambidextrous way.
Go ambidextrous.
Yeah.
I was torn up over that for a while.
Shohei Ohtani wasn't that torn up.
I see Wade's still eyeing that race car.
That's right. He was.
We're gonna give it another shot.
I don't know. I don't know if I can or not. Okay. I don't know. I'm already humiliated here. I don't think I'm getting in. I think Mike's. I think I'm just too long.
Oh, okay, that's fair. We will
find me a 6'5" racer somewhere in NASCAR.
It's not Dale Earnhardt Jr. We already learned that.
Okay.
Okay, well, speaking of racing, we will have Dave Schoenberger on in our next segment. We'll take a brief break here on 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam. This is the Wisconsin Sports Preview Show with Wally Charlie. I'm Corey, and that's Wayne.
I believe so.
Yeah,
It's been quite a few years
it's like
now.
a road course.
Yeah. It's kind of like I think Eldora is what he was bringing up before.
That's
more like what we do.
More like what we do.
Okay, sure.
Dirt oval.
And welcome back to the Wisconsin Sports Preview Show here on 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam and Daily Dodge TV. Corey Sparks along with Wally Lukashinsky. We do have Dave Schoenberger and Dean Burrow, for lack of a better term, the pit crew, pretty much, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate you guys jumping back on, talking to us on the AM side here. Dave, it's a beautiful car, one that apparently Wade didn't want to go in. Maybe it isn't that he didn't want to go in it, but there's a certain science to getting into one of those, it looks like, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a process, I suppose, but it's, there aren't any doors on once you start breaking into the dirt series. You don't get to open the door and climb in. Oh, except for maybe a legend car. I shouldn't say that, but yeah, it can be a little bit of a squeeze if you're just not familiar with the motion.
I was just going to ask, too, you've obviously been racing a long time. So how long did it take to feel comfortable in that race car? Because you're kind of claustrophobic. Don't know how, but I got in there earlier, and I'm like, wow, there's nowhere to go.
When I started out in stock cars. So stock cars were really just still a regular car. My first actual stock car was a 75 Chevelle. So it's just gutted with a race seat in it, and it's a huge window. As we started progressing into the other cars and body styles like this, everything is about making some of those openings as small as you can get away with. They even have rules as far as how small they can be because they don't want you to get too wild about it. But you just get used to it, I suppose. The biggest thing is, for me, with how our interiors are built, is where I put my hands on the steering wheel based on where my elbows are going to hit the interior.
Sure.
Okay, sure.
And it's changed now with the events that happen with Dale Earnhardt with the containment seats and the Hans devices.
Yep.
it makes it difficult for the guys getting in and out of the car with all that gear on also.
Well, and I was talking to you guys a little bit before we jumped on here. So out in Ohio, we're a little bit more. It's very small racetracks. If you're familiar with SRX, like the Tony Stewart racing league. So you guys have a different kind of setup. How would you kind of describe this car versus the stock car for someone like me that really doesn't know the difference?
No fenders.
Yeah, that's kind of where you start. I mean, it's semi-open wheel. I mean, they consider like sprint cars and things like that full open wheel because all the wheels are exposed. In the case of a modified, we're still covered by body panel in the rear, but still open in the front. Actually, and speaking of which, I wheel hopped a guy Sunday down at Sun Prairie because we just got too close together. And so that's kind of the things that happen with open wheel cars, but it's hard to say. I mean, everything that you see there on that car, as far as the body goes, we fabricated. So that's all aluminum sheet. We start out with 4x10 sheets of aluminum, and everything on there that covers the chassis is fabricated in our shop. So it's
and some of the chassis is fabricated.
And
in our
sometimes
shop.
we fabricate some of our own chassis parts. But yeah, I guess it's kind of hard to describe. It doesn't really look like a car if you're not kind of already familiar a little bit with the sport.
Yeah, they don't look like a car you drive down the road.
Now, these cars versus your stock cars, what are we going to be like seeing you guys racing at speed-wise?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah.
I was going to say, I love well, you get obviously crazy speed with those at super speedways, but a smaller track like this, you get up close to 100?
On when we used to race here at Beaver Dam, we were tickling 100.
Okay.
Yeah, on the fairgrounds here because the fairgrounds track here is so long. It's billed as a half mile, but it's really probably more like 5/8.
Sure.
And the straightaways were just so long that we actually got probably pretty fast for the technology back in that day. But on Beaver Dam, it's a little smaller just because it's just physically a smaller track. We do have banking, so that keeps things speeding up. But on average, with that too, I think you keep your speed probably at a higher average on a smaller track like that.
Sure.
Whereas you get to the ends of the straightaways like this, it's like, okay, I got to turn. We're going to slow this down a little bit.
One of the analogies I heard years ago about racing on dirt is imagine going down Highway 151 and you get to the median turnaround, tap your brakes, turn left, and go the other direction.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it.
It's a good analogy. I mean,
Yeah, I was just saying, I'm not exactly. I already don't trust myself enough behind a wheel of a normal car before I'm going 100 on dirt. So good for you on that front. Now, it is a hot day here at the fair. So the first thing I noticed, and I told you guys before, Taco Bell Baja Blast is like my thing. I see it's one of your sponsors. I hope you guys are taking advantage of that.
yeah, they have actually been. Taco Bell's been with us for a pretty long run, so we're happy to still have them on the car.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I know, Corey, you wanted to ask something earlier that, well, I got to hear the answer here.
Yeah, in the racing world, obviously, I'm sure you're familiar with what happened with Austin Dillon a couple days ago in the NASCAR race where he may or may not have taken out Logano and Hamlin in that final quarter lap at Richmond. We'll make this a two-parter. Opinions on what happened there, the whole comm system and the bells and whistles there, and have you ever encountered anything last lap where it gets a little messy that you would like to share?
I've had a couple of those, I guess. On that particular situation, I don't watch a lot of NASCAR anymore.
Okay, sure.
To be fair, but I've seen a lot, some decent stuff about it. And yeah, I mean, he obviously took him out to win. But we were talking about this a little bit because I got preempted on the question. There's a lot of pressure on that level to win races. Especially the way that they've done the format now with the
winning you're in pretty much,
When
right?
with this playoff series and all like that. And then just financially. I mean, financially they're racing for money. They're racing, they've probably got some sponsor and partnership agreements that, kind of like football contracts nowadays. You hit certain benchmarks and you get more money. Right. I would not be surprised if there's stuff like that at that level too. So it's there's a lot of pressure on those guys to win races. So I'm not completely surprised that he took them out to win the race. Would I condone it? It was pretty blatant. It would be if you were close and you just rattle them a little bit to get by. I mean, that's a little different story. But if you're just going to completely send the guy to the infield, that's kind of tough.
One's dangerous too. Right fender on the backside. You send the driver face first into the wall.
How does that feel, Dave?
Yeah, great question.
We've been around on a couple of those. I've been on the receiving side, and in a couple cases I haven't been purposely on the giving side, but I've been accidentally on the giving side, and it sucks all around. I don't know if there's any other way to put it. You know, if you think you're gonna cross first, and all of a sudden you're facing the wrong way, or
Upside down.
down, and if you're on the giving side of it and you end up pulling it off, then it's kind of like, okay, yeah, I really shouldn't have done that way.
On the topic of collisions, because the only collisions I've been in of me when I was like 16 years old, pulling out of a parking spot and dinging a car. That's the worst I've done so far. But what are you taught to do when you're spinning, or you know the car's out of control? Are you taught to fight it, let it go? Are you bracing for impact, being flexible? What could you kind of take me through that thought process?
On our stuff, it happens so fast.
Yeah.
You see a lot of the NASCAR stuff, and these guys start losing it, and they're sliding for probably 50 or 100 feet before they're going to catch a wall, or if they're really close to the wall, they're lucky. But there's probably at least a few extra seconds to react to what they're going to do and knowing what they're going to do. And I know in that level, a lot of the guys are like, I'm just letting go, because they hit hard. I mean, it will take that steering wheel right out of your hands. The couple that I've been in, I've probably been, I think, in 5 or 6 rollovers in various cars. And I think in the 2 worst rollovers I had, I was still hanging onto the steering wheel when I landed.
Oh.
So, and on both of those, fortunately, I landed back on my wheels, so it wasn't so bad. I only had one that I landed on, or ended up on my roof, that I had to crawl out upside down. That was in a stock car, so I had a little more space.
Goodness.
But
So we're used to, if we're talking about stock car racing where you see NASCAR, there's like big pit crews. You are kind of on your own.
Well, there's a couple other guys that help us out on race night, and
Sure.
and our crew chief, who's unfortunately has a full-time job, is not here today. But for the most part, it's the 3 of us that prep the car and get it ready for the week-to-week show. And race night is put the car. We've got the car together. This is what our plan is, and and you get to the track and you go, oh, it's a little bit of this or a little bit of that, dry or wet or whatever, and you make small tweaks. It's not wholesale changes at the track.
See, it's just fascinating to me, though, because there's so much more science that goes into the preparation for these race cars than I think people, like myself, even understand. What is it going from track to track? How do you guys decide what you need to do, how to tinker your car, how to make the adjustments to help you be in the best chance to win that night?
Experience, unfortunately. The only real answer is just experience. I mean, we've been doing this, the 3 of us have been together since 97, racing together.
Wow.
So there's a lot of tribal knowledge that we have that makes it work. And you're constantly reading and you're watching YouTube videos and you're talking to other people, and this is what they're doing and this is what who so and so is doing, and you experiment on a week-to-week basis.
I know. Will you guys tell us a little bit about the race this weekend, what you're going to be doing, when they can watch, and all that?
the next couple races we've got coming up, we're off this week just because there's some other special events in the area.
Sure.
So we did not race Tuesday night. We raced Sunday down at Sun Prairie for an event down there with the Dirt Kings late models and their regular sprint, sorry, not sprint cars, they're midgets. But we've got the next Tuesday nights here in Beaver Dam, which are the last 2 Tuesdays of the regular schedule. Then they've got another Friday, Saturday special in September and a Friday, Saturday night special in October, right at the beginning of October. So that's what's coming up locally.
Yeah, I would say from each of your perspectives, you've probably mentioned it before, but just for those who are listening or watching for the first time, both you, Dave, and you, Dean, how did each of you get into racing? And from that first point, how has your relationship with racing kind of grown into what it is now?
I guess I always enjoyed watching racing, you know, back when I would guess they consider what they would call like the Petty and Earnhardt era of NASCAR.
Sure.
That's kind of that 70s, late 70s era, and that's probably when I really started watching racing the most, and you know, riding dirt bikes and mini bikes and all that kind of stuff. And I was just kind of a car kid, so it's just what I grew up around. That's what I grew up enjoying. We started ice racing, actually. They still do it. It's not as
ice
popular.
Racing?
Yep. Yeah, they race on the lakes
out.
up here. So we started doing that, and it's just with a full-size car, no chains, no studs, no nothing, just an oval track out in the middle of the lake on about a foot of ice.
I've never heard of this before.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, it's big here in Wisconsin.
Unbelievable. I mean, do you guys still do that ever?
I haven't for a long time. There is still a couple of groups though. I think on Sinisippi still has a group that does one. There's a group here that brought it back in Beaver Dam. I can't think of. I think Ziggs or is it still Ziggs out there on
Yeah.
G? Yep. They race. They do some racing out. I think off of there and out by Woods Liquor Landing out on that end of the lake. So
That's
they still
unbelievable.
obviously when there's good ice, but
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of where we started. I did that for a few years, and then in '95 was the first opportunity I got to get into a stock car, and we've been racing on dirt since.
Yeah, probably a little better than, or a little less slippery than ice, I'd imagine.
Some days,
nights.
yeah.
right, yeah.
You asked that question to Dean earlier about the things that we do on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
And one of the things that kind of throws you into a loop every once in a while is that the track can be different every week we go. The condition will be different. It'll be different based on how they prep it. It'll be different based on the weather. It can just always be different. It could be super wet and heavy and hammer down one week, and the next week it could be just totally dry and black, and you
Slippery.
can't hardly touch a gas without spinning out. So that is one of the things about dirt track racing is that we see a different surface almost all the time. We always get to see the same track, if we're racing at home primarily, but yeah, week to week, it's you never promise that it's going to be the same.
Wow. All right. Well, yeah. So last thing, I guess, following up on that. So if you are racing typically in the same few tracks a year, what changes, or how each week does strategy change when you know your competition so well, you know the track so well? Like, what goes week to week? Is it just a matter of qualifying better, or what would you say there?
It depends a little bit because when we go back on our regular show, so if you're running, we'll use Beaver Dam as the example, on a weekly basis, everything that gets lined up for the guys that are coming back every week is all based on your points.
Sure.
So we're normally relatively decent in a point position or a feature point average, they call it. So I can count on starting at the back or the back half of like a heat race because unlike NASCAR, we're opposite. The fast guys have to start in the back. The fast guys don't get to start up front.
That makes it interesting, though. Yeah.
So, and then the features are that way too. If you have a high feature point average, you're more than likely starting 10th, 12th, 14th, depending upon how it works. And the fast guys do it. Brandon Schmidt's one of the guys. He's the current point leader at Beaver Dam. Great in a modified. And these are the guys that get to the front. Skylar Woods is another one this year that's actually doing pretty good.
Yep.
So and they're guys. These are guys that though they'll go race 2-3 nights a week because right now in Wisconsin you could race especially if you're running for IMCA state points or for national points, you can race at an IMCA track three to four
Friday,
nights a week.
Saturday, and Sunday.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And some of these guys are doing it, and they're real road warriors about it. But it is what they do. That is what they do for 4 months from summer into fall, or wherever they can get to a race, they're going.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. Sorry, I probably should talk into a mic here. No, I got really excited about that. This is just racing in general is one of my favorite sports. So to actually hear the X's and O's, so to speak, behind it, we really appreciate you guys stepping up here with us.
Sure.
But all right, let's talk a little bit more about this car. So everybody out here today, welcome to come out and check it out for yourself. People sitting in there too, I imagine, so you can go get a picture with that. But I see here J Mural Plumbing.
Yep.
We got Pino Construction, Scope Farms. Did I say that right? Shoppy. I'm new to the area. I got to be careful here. Yeah, the Pittsburgh in me's coming out. But so how do you guys go about getting your sponsors? I imagine you guys have been partners with these groups for quite a while now.
Well, we were talking about that a little bit earlier too with Wade. Pino Construction is new to us this year, and that's the sponsor that I went out and sought. I have a friend that works there on their staff, and we're looking, every year we're always kind of looking for someone that's interested. My biggest thing with getting people to be involved in our program is always just also then making them a race fan. We want to get them, we truly do want them to be involved. I just don't, it's great to get their check and help us out financially and be supportive. But ultimately, we want to get them involved, and we want them to be a race fan.
I think that makes a lot of sense too. Just making sure they understand, like they're not just investing in something and letting it go. If they really get in and start rooting for you to get a top 5 or a top 3, it becomes a much more fun experience, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
You just know you've got that support, and that's why I've always referred to them as partnerships.
Yeah.
Promotional partnerships more so than sponsors, because we're representing their business or their goods and everything, and which is why we're here today. Honestly, this is
Sherry's gonna give it a shot.
And so we come to these events and we give them the exposure that we told them that we're going to give them by getting out here and talking about them and getting them their visibility.
Yeah, it is a great opportunity. We are here with Dave Schoenberger and Dean Burrow at the 171st Dodge County Fair. Sherry Sackett successfully got into the number 16 car. She's going to hold that over Wade's head forever.
Oh, yeah. Wade's going to start feeling the pressure.
We do have to step aside and take a quick break. This is the Wisconsin Sports Preview Show on 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam.
full-time jobs.
And welcome back to the Wisconsin Sports Preview Show here on 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam and on Daily Dodge TV, where we are simulcasting here. Corey Sparks and Wally Lukashinsky here with Dave Schoenberger and Dean Burrow. Been talking racing, talking about that beautiful 16 car that Sherry was able to get in pretty easily, it looks like.
She was a pro.
But Wally, you had a good question when we were in the break just about the threshold specifically for local racing and even in Wisconsin. If either of you would like to kind of expand on what it takes to get set up. And I'm a pretty impulsive person, Wally. If it seems easy, I might just hop in and give it a try.
You and I are going to have our own team is what you're saying?
I don't think I'll do good, but if it's easy to get set up, we'll see. Yeah.
I would say probably, gosh, I don't know, 90, probably lower than, maybe even higher than that nowadays. 95% of the guys that normally get started nowadays buy someone else's used car.
Okay.
So we're getting to the time of the year now as we start winding down in the season that guys are starting to post their cars for sale because they want to start getting ready to buy a new car next year.
Sure.
So you start seeing a lot of that on the market. So for most people, that's probably the easiest way to get into, unless they truly have the resources that they're going to try and build their car from scratch. But
Bring your checkbook.
yeah, nothing about racing, it seems, definitely in the last few years has gotten any less expensive for sure. But they try to keep a lot of our stock car classes and stuff like that, or classes that are really supposed to be kind of beginner classes for people.
Yeah.
Try and still keep it affordable, but if you're starting out with nothing, it gets pretty expensive in a hurry. Even just your safety gear. At a rough shot, I probably have about $1,500 invested in my safety gear.
Wow.
Between new helmet, and I wear a Hans. Got a new one-piece fire suit this year. I use racing shoes and gloves. So it just to start out with that equipment, your safety equipment to start is a pretty big check.
Well, to even invest that much in safety, you know how dangerous this sport is. It must make the highs that much higher. I have to ask, you guys have been in racing so long together. Is there a particular accomplishment or something that you guys have achieved that you're especially proud of?
2019.
Yeah, 2019 was our track champion year.
Yeah, we won the track championship here at Beaver Dam, and
It's just always been one of the goals.
Yeah.
It's just the goal. I mean, ultimately, if you're going out and you're racing with these guys that are your peers and competitors, and to get to the end of the season and be the guy, that's always been the goal. We've had a lot of top fives. I've been the bridesmaid on a number of seasons as well, but yeah, that's the goal.
Mark Martin
2019 was
racing.
that day.
It was my favorite growing up. So there you go, Mark Martin drop.
Yeah.
Now, you guys mentioned before you've traveled as far as Alabama. Where else have you guys gone actually with racing? Is there any unique places that nobody would have expected you to go and race at?
Alabama in January.
Wow.
Yeah, and it snowed.
And it snowed.
No, I
Oh,
was just going
what
to
was
say,
that
did
like?
you get to
Yeah.
enjoy
I
at
was
least
gonna
warm?
The
Yeah.
locals down there were not happy with this from Wisconsin.
Yeah, they blamed us.
Yeah.
Oh, you brought it down. That was the angle they were taking.
They
oh,
followed us down there.
It's always
Yeah.
our fault, right?
Yeah,
It's the event they call the Ice Bowl, and I think it's the week after
New
I think
Year's.
The week after New Year's.
Yep.
And one of my aunts was living down there at the time, and it's a short track, Talladega,
Very similar to here.
Yep, right across the road or the highway from the Talladega Superspeedway.
Oh, get out.
So, we drove all the way down there, drove through a snowstorm on the way through all of Illinois, which is basically forever, and got down there, and it was cold, and our pictures are all in winter jackets. We had a turbo heater in the trailer to warm the car up before we rolled it out to start it.
You're going to end up ice racing down there in
It
Alabama.
was just about.
It was.
We got there for the practice day, and I was sitting in staging waiting to go on the track, and it started to snow. And it wasn't just like a little bit of snow. It was like 50 cent
like Wisconsin
piece,
snowing.
50-cent piece snowflakes.
Yep.
And it was like, you got to be kidding me. What is
Like, this was supposed to be enjoyable. I was
Yeah,
supposed to
yeah.
go down here to
Supposed to
60
be in
degrees.
Alabama.
Yeah, right.
Oh, my goodness.
But yeah, that's probably one of the most memorable stories for that. But we've primarily been around home. You know, Dean alluded to it earlier. We all got other stuff going on, other family stuff, and raising kids and getting them all on their way. But we've been to a couple of tracks over on the Minnesota side. Not too many tracks, couple tracks up north, but for the most part, yeah, we've been kind of sticking to home the last few years.
Are these your favorite type of tracks then up here, or is it just families here? It's easier. You guys already are located here, or is it just like this kind of racing up here? It just draws to you.
Yeah.
Some of those other tracks we'd probably race at more if they weren't 3 hours away.
Yeah.
because they're just really awesome facilities. They do really well. Beaver Dam's a really good facility. I've been to some others that have been like, ugh.
Yeah.
But even talking to a lot of our guys that we race with that do go to a lot of different tracks, they'll all admit that Beaver Dam is definitely one of the nicest facilities that are out there. And then we've raced, like I said, at a couple other that are pretty good. And if they were a little closer, we'd probably race at them more.
From a competitor standpoint, if you've been in the area for a while, are there certain racers, whether they're at the top of the standings or they're still kind of going through that learning curve, that you've gotten to know and you'll like share conversations about strategy with, or are you in the camp of I'm going to keep all the intel in my circle, I don't want to share anything? What's that camaraderie like?
For the most part, I think that there's still a decent amount of shared information. It depends a little bit on what people are racing. We've got a lot of guys right now that are probably racing a lot of the same type of or same manufacturer of chassis.
Okay.
But I think there's still at least enough chatter that you'll get a little bit of this or that depending upon who the guys are. We've never really been afraid to share what we're doing because our premise when is particularly like through our championship year, it's like if I can make you faster, if we have intel, if my crew has something that they could share about your car that'll make you better and help you control your car better, that's supporting the sport, but it's also helping that guy just be better so that he's just not in everyone else's way.
Yeah.
That you can maneuver around him and not have to worry about what the guy's going to do when you get up to him.
It's that old iron sharpens iron expression.
Kinda,
Make
yeah.
them
Kinda.
better. They're safe.
Yeah.
As long as you're racing safely, having really fun, aggressive, talented drivers has to be exciting out there.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's always, there's a handful of guys that I know, and I just did it a couple of weeks ago, honestly, that I've raced literally side by side for 10 laps at a crack, and we never touched each other. And it's about knowing who's going to give you space, who you need to give space to, knowing that guy is going to control his car as well as you can control your car. So yeah, it's when you race with a lot of guys that you race with on a weekly basis, then you know who those guys are. You kind of also know who the guys are that you need to watch out for.
Dave, could you kind of go through that feeling out process? Let's say new guy in town. Let's say I jump in a car. How long does it take you to figure out what type of driver I am, how much space I need, if I'm a little reckless? How long does it take you to build that profile of somebody?
Probably a couple races.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
you're either consistently bad or you're just randomly bad.
Right.
Randomly
Spontaneous.
bad is
The
probably
randomly bad's bad.
worse.
Yeah, there's a caution
'Cause
sign
you just
there.
don't know what's
Yeah.
going to happen.
Yeah.
If he's consistently bad, well, at least you know what you can set him up for
Yeah.
if you're going to try and get him somewhere. But maybe bad isn't the right word.
Right.
Inexperienced.
Inexperienced.
How's that sound?
And inexperience can come from the driver, or it can come from his crew. If they're not setting the car up right, or if the driver's not giving them the crew the information that the crew needs to make the car better.
Yeah.
It's a give and take, and we give each other a hard time all the time about we never give Dave a bad car, ever.
Right.
But on the other hand, it goes the other way. We do make mistakes. We do set him up wrong once in a while. We'll miss something, and then he comes in and says, that was awful. Don't ever do that again. What'd you do?
What does the fields look like typically? Because I've seen some where you have SRX races where there might be 6 cars, but then I've seen others where there's like 13 or 14. Like, how busy does the track typically get for an average race?
Well, the normal heat races, they'll normally run heat races down to maybe 8 to 10 cars.
Okay.
As far as the qualifiers go. So that's not normally too bad. Our features are normally anywhere from 20 to 24 cars, depending upon the car count on any given night.
It's got to feel busy out there on the track.
It gets a
those
little
nights.
busy, yeah.
Yeah. Now, do you guys like DNFs when you're going that speed? Is it typically cars blow up? Is it accidents going to keep somebody out in this style of racing, or is you can kind of get away with being a little bumpage here and there?
there's a little bumpage here and there. Not that car's got a new body today for a reason. So,
Oh boy, is there a story there?
well, no, it's just
I had a old chassis to start, or body to start with.
we just
Wear and
got
tear.
this car back
Okay.
out. It's literally the oldest car we have. And raced it Sunday at Sun Prairie, but I just threw one of our old bodies on it that had been raced for an entire season, so it wasn't
pretty.
show worthy for sure. So that over the last couple of nights I threw, and those sides and everything in the front are all brand new over the last few nights.
You said that this is your oldest car.
Oh yeah.
How old do you allow it to go where you still can race these things, or do you start being like, you know what, I'm not giving myself the best chance to win with old Betsy in 1983?
It depends upon what the car's doing. You know, if we're making changes to the chassis and it doesn't seem to respond, then we know it's pretty much used up. If I go underneath it and do the weekly inspection and I'm finding welds that are breaking every week, you know it's pretty well used up. The material can only flex so many times, and you can't glue it back together again.
All right, well, that makes sense, I suppose.
But this car is a 2012.
Oh, wow, so
Yeah,
this is a
that car's
12-year-old model here.
That's old.
It's old.
Yeah, well,
It's old.
you just kind of expect that with how much time and science and money that goes into these things. I didn't know if these things would be 6 months old. Like, you got one car a year, move off it.
There
or
are people that do.
Sure.
Yeah.
Just more of a team preference?
Yeah, and money.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's guys they'll cycle their car out on an annual basis, but normally we well, obviously this one's been around a while. It had been raced, and we kind of put it out to pasture, literally, and weren't happy with the car that we started the year with, and had gotten a new car, but not till really close to the beginning of the season, just didn't get it finished. So we went back to this one. We've got one race night on it so far, and it's still doing pretty good. So we'll see how it finishes the rest of the season.
Is there a story about number 16? Or is that assigned to you?
No, you get to pick.
Oh, that's nice.
Well, I'm gonna walk back and I'm gonna show my age on this a little bit. But way back before everybody was electronic scoring and all this, and you had people that actually had to watch the races and score all the racers and positions and everything every lap, they would strongly discourage people having the same number, because now someone's which 16 was that?
Now we're
So
relying
then
on the
it's-
honor system too,
Yeah.
right?
So now maybe it's a 16S or a 16D or something like
Okay.
that. So then you add a letter to designate yourself if you have to. We had gone at that time. We would go to other tracks. I said, yeah, we already have a 16 here. You're going to have to make that a 16S. Oh, okay, so we just add an S to it. But now, with electronic scoring, we run a transponder, so the track electronically scores you. It picks up your
Oh,
transponder
nice.
frequency every time you go across the start-finish line.
Like, caution comes out, we know where we're at that time.
Kinda. They'll go back to the last completed lap.
Yeah.
you
Okay.
know.
Yeah.
They're not measuring like the quarter of the track or anything
Yeah,
like
it's
what
not
NASCAR's
like
doing
NASCAR
nowadays.
does.
Okay, sure.
But they'll go back to the last completed lap and realign you in
According to
whatever
that.
that crossing order was.
16, though. Do we have a reason? Was there a number that, why is that a part of your heart that's the race or number for my race car?
16 is my birthday, so
Oh,
that's
nice.
the day of my birthday, and then I believe it was 16 when I entered my first demo derby.
Wow.
Okay. that's
so there's
kinda
some
where that
significance
came
there. Yeah. While we have you for just a couple more minutes, Dave and Dean, we're at the fair. Lots of food here. Favorite fair food that you would put above anything else here at the Dodge County Fair, whether it's something that's just here, you can find at any fair. What's the far and away favorite for each of you?
I've always been a sweet corn guy.
Sweet corn. Right over there. That's convenient. Perfect.
Yeah, 2 for $5 this year, too,
Yeah.
by the way.
Wow.
So get down here
Look
for
at
that.
you. Advertising.
First thing I saw was like, all right, you got grilled cheese brats, you got sweet corn. I'm going to make sure I'm back here.
I don't know that necessarily. I've never been a gyro guy.
Okay.
I would say the corn dog, just because it's kind of a typical staple. It's a state fair staple.
Yeah.
50th year this year, too, for right over here. That's fantastic.
Uh-huh.
I
I
don't
saw
know.
like half of our staff
And a
had a
beer
corn
tent.
dog, so I think
That's
that's
what
a
matters.
pretty
The beer
popular
tent.
belief.
Yeah, we got in on that.
Well, yeah, and it's after 3 o'clock too, so we have people that can win some beverages of choice down over here if you come down to Dodge County Fair.
Yeah, right here at Radio Park, 171 beers. You just have to register on the right side of that ESPN Beaver Dam tent. I see Sierra and Waiter over there. That's going on from 3 to 6, and then depending on what your guys' Wisconsin sports trivia is looking like, we're giving away Brewers tickets as well. 4 free Brewers tickets if you get 3 questions right over there. We'll enter you in the drawing. But Dean Burrow, Dave Schoenberger, thank you guys so much for joining us here on Wisconsin Sports Preview Show. Best of luck rest of the season. It's kind of in the prime right now,
Another
right?
question coming.
Oh, Friday.
It's this one.
I wasn't going to say it was
I
this
knew
16.
there was something off when you said 16. Well, today, and I'm like, wait a minute.
That leaves us 12 options.
The light bulb started going off.
Well, happy early birthday to you.
Thanks.
All right. Appreciate you guys here for coming on. This is the Wisconsin Sports Preview Show on 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam and Daily Dodge TV. And welcome back to the Wisconsin Sports Preview Show here on 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam and Daily Dodge TV. Now it's me, Corey Sparks, Wally Lukashinsky, and Charlie Duran's back on for Dave and Dean. That was fun, talking racing for a bit, kind of learning about the science of the car, watching Sherry get in much easier than any of us did. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, good to dive into pretty much the middle of their racing season and what a day-to-day looks like for them.
Yeah, I felt bad during the break. I'm like, Corey, I'm sorry. I was just talking.
No, you were
nonstop.
into it.
I was getting fired up right there. But that was a fantastic conversation.
And Tuesday nights are pretty big around here for racing. We did get a formal invite from Dave to go and kind of see what things look like trackside, race level. So that would be awesome.
I was trying to tell him he's got to be careful because I will take him up on that.
He will
I will
use
be here
those.
on a Tuesday night.
So we do have Charlie on here. We've got Wally and myself. You two have played high school football, and we are 8 days away from the first high school football game that we'll be covering. Wally and I will be on site, I believe, with Aiden Voigt, doing Marshall and Johnson Creek, non-conference matchup. High school I think there's nothing like this time of year, guys. I mean, so much to look forward to for the next, 10 to 12 weeks?
Well, you first of all say Charlie and I played high school football. Play we use loosely. Scout team heroes.
You
right
practiced.
Here.
You were on the roster. If I looked up Whitefish
I
Bay 2017, I'll find Charlie in Arrowhead, 2009? 12?
Yeah, I was just going to
Okay,
say,
yeah.
wow, how old do you think I am?
30,
2009,
30, right?
man. Wow,
No, you're
goodness.
good.
Well,
If you do look me up, you will find the profile page there, and it will be around the measurements that I am now, fully grown, fully formed. It wasn't really that close at the time that I created that and put those numbers in, because that's what you do. And they do it in
Spruce 'em
high
up a
school.
little
They
bit.
give you
do it
some
in
leeway.
college.
Yeah.
None of those numbers are real.
Yep.
When you see a quarterback that's like 6'3", he's probably closer to like 6'1 and a half. Just counting up, because especially when I wasn't playing, I was just there to really show that they've got some big guys on this team. they've got some players.
You're going for the intimidation factor.
And-
Well, you know how they always say, like in the Olympics, that we need to have like a common person do the event just to show how freakishly athletic all these people are.
Yep.
That's what Charlie and I were, to show how talented the football team was.
Oh,
We
yeah.
were there, technically playing the sport against people that could actually do it well. Great time of year, though.
And
Yeah.
Friday
Great
Night
time.
Lights, baby.
yeah, so we've got that going on. So that's going to be on Daily Dodge TV and 1430 ESPN. 7 p.m. Marshall and Johnson Creek will be out there. Plenty of going on over by our swag tent. You can spin for a prize every single time. You're going to win something. And then on the left side of that table, chance to win 4 free Brewers tickets for the first place Brewers. It hurts to say that, but they've been phenomenal this year. September 20th at AmFam Field. You answer 3 questions, get all 3 right, and you are in the drawing for that. We're going to draw that right at 6. So in about 2 hours and 15 minutes, after we do a little lap around, look for some food. We've been talking way too much about food for me to not get something as soon as the show is done. So looking forward to that.
What are you going with? Because that's the next step.
Pretzel.
Oh, it's
I think
going to be the
I've
pretzel.
been
now.
hyping up the pretzels way too much to not. Oh, did they close? That's unfortunate. No, they're open. Okay.
You're
All right.
panicking me over here.
Yeah. The the heart rate got up a little bit there. Still got to try the fast pitch out too. We got to find out exactly where that was. We saw that on the way out.
You're
We were
too
trying yesterday.
competitive, man.
Yeah.
My arm hurts even thinking about that right now.
Yeah.
You can't eat before heading over to the amusement park area.
Oh, that's true.
You can't. You're out of order there.
That's a recipe for disaster.
I don't know.
Well,
Builds
it
a
wouldn't
little
be
character.
for me, but he's a guy. He's a non-heights guy.
Yeah.
That's true.
might throw my food back up. Taste it a second time.
Oh no, so
Yeah.
you're not a heights guy either. I'm fine
No.
as long as I'm like enclosed. Like if I'm in a plane,
Okay.
no problem. You take me to the Empire State Building, I am backed up against the wall, nowhere near the edge.
Interesting.
The skydive or no skydive, Wally and I are both in the we will
I
at
will.
some point
I will
skydive.
Lose a little
Very
poundage.
far down the road. How would you jump out of a perfectly good airplane? Like my dad always says that, and I'm like, it's kind of a good point. Why are we getting up
But
so
then
high
you
just to
go-
ditch it?
Then you're telling us you're like, hey, look, I'm gonna go bungee jumping. Now.
You think that's worse?
Do I think that's worse? I don't think it's
I've
close.
seen some rough
What's
bungee
higher
jumping
up?
videos.
Yeah, I'm not playing that game.
How much damage is done if your bungee snaps as opposed to parachute's not working and I'm 50,000 feet in the air?
Yeah, see, if I'm falling
not
out
that
of the
much.
sky, though, at least it's a good way to go. That bungee cord breaks, it's just 1 second of, wait a minute.
Well, like
You don't have
Say
much more
good.
time to think about it.
and
We're
if
getting
you're
dark here.
trained to skydive, it's
Yeah.
especially not a big deal, and you've got a parachute on your back. All you got to do is pull it.
And it's not even like we're going to be skydiving alone. We're
No.
going to have the trainer do all the work. We're just there along for the ride.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. You got to go tandem the first few times. You need a ton of certifications to actually do that yourself. And I don't know if I ever want to do that.
Oh,
then it's up to you.
I guess I kind of assumed that you could opt to do it yourself? You have to get like certified to do it yourself.
You've got to go through some pretty extensive training and then sign their nice big waivers saying you consented to this. Yeah.
Kind of disappointing.
I've seen like POV videos of that, like, okay, I'm going to go solo. Here's what I have to go through. It is a process.
Did you guys see a few years ago that Red Bull challenge where the guy skydived from like a super hot air balloon like 35,000 feet in the air?
Didn't he skydive from one plane onto another? Isn't that the video?
I wouldn't see. Now
Yes, I
we're
heard of
going
that,
crazy.
yeah.
I just know guy carried up a balloon and he's just like, let me just jump real quick.
I mean, all the stuff Tom Cruise does in all these movies is pretty much all in the same vein of what we're talking about.
That's true.
And he just at the end of the Olympics, he dove down. That was stupid, though. I mean, like, it was being hailed as like a crazy stunt. He was on a wire from like, from the top of the arena, sure.
Yeah.
Hit us with that Lady Gaga Super Bowl halftime jump.
Or that mascot, I think it was the Denver Nuggets mascot who fainted getting dropped down from the top of the arena there. Yeah, fired. You're not doing that again.
Different stunts, right? Which mascot tore their ACL last year? Wasn't it Poe for the Ravens? I'm pretty sure.
I forgot they got
It
carted
might have
off,
been
didn't
Poe.
they?
Yeah,
there
like
was.
start of the season-ending injury. We will step aside for one more break, and we'll have about 5 more minutes before we. Great segue, Corey. Before we hit 4 o'clock here. This is the Wisconsin Sports Preview Show on 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam.
me there on me.
All right. Probably got like 3 minutes. Super small segment. Yeah, you are. You might be. And welcome back to the Wisconsin Sports Preview Show, live from the Dodge County Fair, the 171st Dodge County Fair here on 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam and Daily Dodge TV. Corey Sparks alongside Charlie Dern and Wally Lukashinsky. We were talking about high school sports, first high school football game. First fall sport that we're covering is Marshall and Johnson Creek. Just 8 days from today. What position did each of you play in high school football? Even though you want to say, I was on the team, but I never saw the field. What would you have played if they put you in?
Wide receiver and backup quarterback in a run 99% of the time wing T offense.
Interesting. Well, we've got a couple quarterbacks then, because you were like scout quarterback.
Team. I was going to say I was not a quarterback.
You were handing that ball off.
Yeah. So back before I discovered beer, cheese, and meat,
Yeah.
I was a middle
Wisconsin
linebacker.
staples.
Yeah, exactly. So that was fun. Ironically, last play of my playing career, I got pancaked by a Kettle Moraine guy, and I remember 30 seconds left when it happened. I was laughing on the field saying that is the most fitting so long to football I could ever give. It was basically the anti-Rudy.
I've told the story a couple times, but my first ever time being in Watertown, hearing of Watertown, anything like that, was our playoff game, level 1 of the playoffs senior year. And we get there, like an hour, 2 hours early. The student section was already there. They were already yelling. They were mean, all right? It did go too far sometimes, all right? Still not pleased
okay?
about it. I still think about it, all right? They got in my
safe
head.
space,
It's
Charlie.
been
They got in my,
rent-free.
they beat us like 48-0. It was a disaster.
And they jawed it the whole
It
way
was
home,
raining.
too. Yeah.
It was muddy. The
Running
fans
clock
at-
and playoff games are tough.
We're down like 35-0 at halftime. We're just walking into the tunnel or whatever, and we're just getting chirped by the students.
Oh,
even worse than before the game. Yeah, and then the eventual last play, everyone's crying, sobbing. It's our last time playing together. It's all emotional. You know how it goes. And being backup quarterback, I was subbed in, and I was sobbing, hysterical.
Oh, no.
And
Wipe the tears.
Coach calls like a go route for our other buddy who's a senior, and I'm hysterical. And so I go back to just throw this go route, and it was the worst pass I've ever thrown. Even like playing catch with my dad, anybody. Like I couldn't even replicate how bad the pass was. I'm hoping that it's not on that huddle tape.
I was
going to
say, do
I
we go on
really
Huddle
hope-
and dig up 2019 tape?
I haven't been able to find it because I did one night with my friends. We were like, all right, we got to find that because that was hilarious. Looking back, and no, we couldn't find it. So I'm hoping it's still scrubbed. But if Watertown football reaches out to you with that video, Corey,
it was against Watertown.
I'll ask you to burn the tape.
Oh,
Yeah,
my.
Yeah.
I'll have to get rid of it. If each of you could go out and join a team right now, what would make the most sense? What would you think you'd fit in best with? Because you've played, Charlie, you've played basketball, baseball, and football. Were you just football in high school, Wally?
No, I actually played. I was wrestled, and then I
wrestled, okay.
also I guess I didn't play baseball at that point. It was just more for fun.
Right.
Yeah.
Where could you hang right now, or be the closest to hanging in? Yeah.
I would probably just have to tell you that I don't think that exists.
Oh.
Golf.
Golf.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's where I'm
Designated
at.
hitter
Yeah.
that gets pinch hit for.
All right, perfect. Well, the future of your local sports scene right here. Or maybe not. We've got the car revving up. Thank you so much for joining us on the Wisconsin Sports Preview Show live from the 171st Dodge County Fair. This has been Wisconsin Sports Preview on 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam and Daily Dodge TV.